Say hello to my little friend. He's little. He's a Dalek. It's fun. It's appropriate. Hello everybody, I am Ace Creeper and today I'm back with a brand new video. Today we are talking about the first and presumably last episode of 2019. Resolution. This is a very interesting one, and before I give my thoughts away on it, I'd like to put something kind of crystal clear right here now that everyone's entitled to their own opinion, you know. I have a very strong opinion on certain elements of this, so if you disagree with that, that's perfectly fine. Just remember, this is how I feel. It doesn't have to be how you feel either. You know, I'm not going to hate you for disagreeing with me, but I will hate you if you start attacking people for, you know, disagreeing with yourself. The reason I'm saying this now and not the rest of the series is because it's bringing back the Daleks in a very unique way. Now, obviously you've seen the episode, you'll know the way they've done it. With a fan favourite enemy, it's always going to cause a little bit of controversy for some people in particular. But yeah, we'll get onto that in all good time. But for now, let's talk about the story, then the characters, then the villain. Yeah, so the story. So the story's a bit odd. It's kind of half and half. The first half kind of treats the Dalek like Venom, and that's how I'm going to kind of refer to it as the symbiote Dalek. It kind of, so it's been dismantled over many years, and it's been buried, and it's all come together under a UV light and is formed into its sort of natural kind of look. Big giant squid. It then latches on to one of the archaeologists that were digging up the site, and kind of uses that archaeologist as a host to get itself to a place where it can find some scrap metal to build itself a new body of armour. It then attempts to try and make contact with a Dalek fleet for them to come and invade Earth. And yeah, that is pretty much the premise of it. The Doctor has to stop it, all whilst, you know, little trip-ups and all that sort of thing during the way. Ryan's dad's in it, and obviously Ryan's dad and Ryan have lots of emotional little moments in there. I love the Doctor in this episode. Now, I was a bit disappointed because I really wanted it to be like a Ninth Doctor moment where it's like the sort of shock realisation of, oh my god, it's a Dalek. Now, I don't know why I expected that. We got it with 9, and we got it with 11. We didn't really get it with 10. Tennant just kind of walked in with a bit of a comedic attitude and whatever. Capaldi just looked at it and went, no, it can't be that. And that's it. That's all we got. But I was hoping with Jodie we'd get something new, and we kind of did. But I think the way the story kind of went out was that the first time she realised it was a Dalek, the Dalek wasn't there. And then her first confrontation with the Dalek was via the hologram, so she was really intense, and she was like, I want you to see what I'm saying. I want you to see my face when I'm saying this. So she was very good at acting that, and because Jodie Whittaker's strengths, I mean, as I've seen from Broadchurch, is definitely in the sort of darker side and the darker tones of acting, you know, opposed to the more comedic side. The comedic side works as well, depending on the person and, you know, how you like that sort of thing, but I think her definite strengths are in her more serious and emotional performances. But yeah, I like the contrast of her having the first face-to-face with the Dalek symbiote type thing, where she's kind of looking at it and sort of talking it down in a way of like, I will stop you, here's my New Year's resolution, and I love that. But I really also like the first reveal of the sort of Rusty Dalek, which I'll come on to the naming in just a minute, because obviously that the name Rusty has been used before, but it seems more appropriate here than it was in Moffat's era. Jodie kind of excelled more in the comedic side in that because she was at lax. The Dalek was at a disadvantage because the Dalek's all broken and kind of just self-repaired and you know, and not in the greatest state. It was more that she had that advantage, and she was like, oh, I'm going to play this, I'm going to love this. When it scanned her and saw the two hearts, her was like, you could tell in Jodie's performance that it was like, oh, I'm going to love saying these words, and that is how you want it, because that's how the Doctor would feel. It's like, I've got an advantage over a Dalek, I'm going to milk every moment of this. And it was done perfectly, and I think the Dalek's reaction was great as well, when it just kind of disabled her sonic, and it started like shooting at her, like, okay, yeah, so that means you do recognise me then. I really liked that, and I thought that was great. And I think overall in this episode, Jodie as the Doctor was more of a focus. She had her more serious scenes and she had her more light-hearted scenes. I think I can strongly say she's probably the best she's been in a while. I think she's definitely one of her stronger performances in a Doctor Who episode. Companions were all great. I think most of them were background in this. Again, Ryan and his dad were more of a focus. And just touching on that a little bit, I did like it, and I did like the fact that he was introduced, but I couldn't help but feel like, because it's the return of the Daleks and you've only got an hour I was like, please, I just want to see more of the Daleks, and I want to see more of that story. And I know it's important because they were setting it up to be emotional, for the ending to be emotional. And the ending was really well done, but I was expecting him to die, Ryan's dad, Aaron. So it's fair to say I was a little bit confused, but yeah, no, I did like those scenes, but I felt like they went on a bit long. I think the scene in the cafe especially did drag quite a bit, and that's just me, you know. I do appreciate the emotional sort of standpoint behind that, but just for me it did a little bit. But I really liked the rest of that. I really liked the emotional value behind the scene, and I really liked the direction they wanted to go with that and all that sort of stuff. I really did like that, and I did appreciate that in terms of the storytelling aspect. But as a natural fanboy, I was more excited to see the Daleks. Yaz did, you know, a fair share of, you know, what should probably be expected to do. Again, a little bit background, but at the same time, there's not much more for her to do, nor was there much more for Graham to do. Again, Bradley Walsh puts on a great performance in terms of Graham kind of talking down Aaron Sinclair. When he kind of barges in and tries to take Ryan away, it's like, well, no, because I've kind of been the father figure now, so it's like that. And I love when Ryan called Graham Gramps as well, and it was like, Aaron was just shocked, like, what? This shouldn't happen. I liked that sort of acting standpoint, and that kind of reaction seemed kind of fitting and right. I like the other characters as well. In fact, I thought they gave off pretty strong performances. I think the young girl, I think it was Lynn, who got sort of taken over by the Dalek symbiote. Well done. You can act really well. I really liked her performance because obviously she was playing a person with genuine emotions and feelings, but also like a Dalek as well. And that human Dalek thing has only ever been done in the show in Moffat's era, when it was like a Dalek eye stalk inside someone's body, and it wasn't really the same. Whereas this, it was like she was trying to fight back at the same time. And I know you kind of had that in Moffat's era, but you felt it more here. And I think just touching upon that, we'll go into it a little bit more. So I'm going to split the Dalek talk into two parts: the symbiote and Rusty. The symbiote Dalek, the sort of squid thing. First of all, the design, miles better. The CGI on the design made it like a really sort of... Because in New Who, and even in Classic Who a little bit, it's just been made to look like a little squid thing. And although I think the only time it's kind of looked liquidy, like a sort of big moving blodge of like, I don't know how to describe it, was in like Evolution of the Daleks, when it like took over the man and like, you know, evolved itself. This was really quite scary, and I've actually been creeped out by a Dalek when it's out of its casing. It was there, it was latched onto her back, and then the sort of tentacles started appearing. I was like, oh god. And Nicholas Briggs, I think it is, gave a wonderful, wonderful performance doing the Dalek voice for that scene, because it wasn't put through a modulator, so he really had to do his best there. And it sounded realistic. It sounded like what a Dalek would sound like out of its shell. And I couldn't help but love it, because we've never seen that before, other than a little bit in Twice Upon a Time. And if you have a look at what they did in Twice Upon a Time with the little crawling things like, you know, like face huggers, compare it to this with the sort of weird moving, and it was like a symbiote, it was like Venom in that sense, but I liked that. And I was going to say on Twitter, I was just trying to avoid it because I didn't want to give away spoilers for the review of it, but I think this Dalek symbiote was creepier than Venom, even though Venom was the originator of the idea. I can obviously see that the idea of Venom was... I mean, even the Venom film, I think, is probably what Chibnall saw and went, oh, that looks good, we'll do that with a Dalek. I think that's probably where the inspiration came from, but I think they did it better here. It was creepier, and as much as I really actually quite enjoyed Venom as a film, the creepiness of the symbiote Dalek on this, kind of taking over her body and all that sort of thing. And when it picked up the exterminator gun from that sort of research facility, and it just started firing, that was good. I liked that, because it was a bit, you know, although we've seen a Dalek gun before, in terms of like the Magician's Apprentice, where Capaldi picked one up, it was quite nice to see that that was how it was used, because that's technically the only thing that came from a Dalek in the new Dalek design. The rest of it is scrap metal, and we'll talk about that now. The new Dalek design does look a bit weird, and that's because it's not a new Dalek design. It is a one-off Dalek design. They've even said this in the behind-the-scenes reels. It's a one that will probably never appear again, maybe in flashbacks or whatever, but this is a one-off design of Dalek because it's built itself out of scrap metal. And I love that. I love that they can do something different. It felt very Big Finish to me, you know, the way they all... I mean, there was like a one, I think it was a Big Finish. Was it Big Finish? I think it was, where they had like a stained glass Dalek. It's that sort of funky new design that I quite liked about this one. This is definitely not the new design of Dalek, but the fact that there's a Dalek fleet out there, there's always options in the future for them to create a new design and build upon that and make something new out of that. But I love the way that it was the symbiote thing was latched onto Lynn, I think it was, who had to craft the Dalek, had to make it, because it just added that sense of like it's building up to showing this new Dalek. It's not going to be the new design. That's not what every Dalek's going to look like. Of course it's not, because it's all rusty and old and broken. But what it looked like, it was like a new series Dalek that had been built by just out of random scrap metal, and that's what the story wanted it to be. So that kind of made sense. If it showed up and broke through those doors and was just a normal Dalek, I would have been like, well, that's not realistic, because there's no way. You know, it takes, without an internet guide, it takes fans months and months and months to even come up with anything near a Dalek, and even those don't look very good. So, you know, I like the idea that it doesn't look right. I did like the flashing light inside the Dalek's face as well as on the sides, and I loved all those different elements of it. And I think as a Dalek, with the sort of rockets coming out of its Dalek bumps, and the extermination sort of thing, a lot of people are complaining about how that's not how you do a Dalek, but the way I think of it is, and I'll give my kind of ranking of where this Dalek episode comes in my favourites. In terms of my perspective of it, this Dalek killed more people in this episode than any Dalek in Moffat's era, I think. Now, if you think back, like, Victory of the Daleks killed about 2, like, soldiers, and then, like, Asylum didn't really kill anyone, really. Then you've got, like, Time of the Doctor, he shot a few, you know, Silence, you know, he shot, you don't see anything definitive on screen. This felt very Russell T Davies, the way it very much focused on the extermination, and it actually went on for a long time. It wasn't just a one-off shot, it was like a long blast. Hence why one of my favourite scenes is the Dalek versus the soldiers. I love that. Yeah, I think that's all I really want to say about the Daleks. I really liked this one-off Dalek, and I really think this is how you do a one-off Dalek, opposed to doing, you know, like a funky one-off design. But this will go down in history like one of those ones like the Special Weapons Dalek, where it's like, it's a one-off Dalek, might be seen in the future, probably won't be. I'm just glad that when they rebuilt it, it wasn't just a normal sort of wooden plunger, because I was thinking, oh god, if they're making it from whatever's lying around in a farm, I'm thinking, oh god, here we go. Just a little side note here that I've worked out after recording this whole video is that Darren Faraday, the Series 11/Series 10 concept artist, has put a thing on Twitter saying that this Dalek is the first in history that hasn't had someone inside of it. 2 people with little remote controls will actually control it. This whole Dalek is fully functional and robotic. That's incredible. To be fair, like, I know it's like, I'm not trying to bump up why I like this Dalek. I just do love that element of it. I think that's actually really damn impressive if you think about it. That's nuts. Bits that stuck out to me as the best bits were definitely the Dalek scenes, with the 13th Doctor. I think all of those were pretty good. The ending felt a bit... I really liked the ending, and I really liked the emotional value, and I thought all the special effects of the Dalek and Aaron being sucked out into the sort of supernova was really good. I just think it might have worked better if Aaron Sinclair died at that point. I feel like I've seen enough of him, and I've kind of had my fair share of seeing all the emotional family aspects of that now, that actually I was happy for him to go. But nevertheless, it was a nice emotional moment for Ryan, and I'm glad he's not joining the TARDIS team again. You know, 5's a crowd. I like that. I like the reference to Unit and Kate Stewart, but don't do that again, because I was expecting her to show up. I was like, oh my god, we're going to see Kate Stewart on screen, we're going to interact with the Doctor, and there's going to be... I wasn't expecting that, so I was thinking, oh my god, this is good, this is great. And then when they like made it like a political joke about, I presume it was Brexit. I don't mind the whole political nonsense thing, but I was just kind of disappointed we didn't get to see Kate Stewart again. But I presume that's just because we've had years of Moffat making Unit stories and all the Brigadier Stewart things. I'm glad to see Chibnall go, actually, yeah, we're just going to kind of discontinue that for a few years and then bring it back, because the Unit's always been a part of Doctor Who, and I'm glad to see it was mentioned and it was an instinct, because I feel like a few fans would be complaining if it's like, well, why didn't the 13th Doctor, why didn't she call Unit or something? Like, that would have made more sense. Although I'd expect that she'd just have Kate Stewart's phone number and she could have just recruited her anyway. You know, whether or not she's on the payroll, I'm sure she has that family background where it would have worked. But either way, you know, jumping aside from that, other than that, I was expecting Torchwood. I was thinking, oh, is it going to go that route and is it going to have, like, Jack show up or something? And I don't know. My hopes got the better of me towards the end of the episode. But, nevertheless, as much as I feel like it was, you know, other than that, it was a great reference. Don't get me wrong. I really did like that. I didn't think the Wi-Fi joke worked very well, and I don't think all the little jabs and jokes. It didn't need to be a funny episode. It was quite a dark episode, and it should have just stuck with that sort of link. But yes, they are my only little minor nitpicks with the episode, and that is nitpicking. I love the new Dalek. I love Nicholas Briggs' voice acting towards it. I really felt chills when it was against the soldiers in that one scene. But overall, hey, this is a good Dalek story, and I'm gonna go as far to say this is probably my favourite Dalek story since Russell T Davies era. I feel like it's probably never going to come up to the elements of like Stolen Earth and Journey's End or Dalek or anything like that, but for me, is it better than Victory of the Daleks? Is it better than Asylum of the Daleks? Is it better than Into the Dalek? And is it better than The Magician's Apprentice and Witches Familiar? For me, yeah. But that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think in the comments. I'm going to give this episode I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I'm going to be generous with this one. Yes, that's my review of it. And that's it for Doctor Who for this year, apparently. So if we don't get any more sort of one-off things for Children in Need or Red Nose Day, anything like that, then we'll just be here talking about filming, news with the series, rumours and all that sort of thing. But yeah, that's it for the reviews. So yeah, if you haven't already, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, comment below for any more suggestions in the future, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time. Hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you all with the next video. Bye bye.